Hey, welcome back to the show. I thought today we'll try and dial a Chuck Schuldiner death style tone, just using a few basic pedals and things, and I'll try and go through a few different ways, and hopefully you can replicate this yourselves, but we'll just get into it. Usually when I do the tone capturing style videos, I painstakingly sit there all week and A and B it back with the record and really just fine tune the whole amp and just go like, these are the settings for what you need. But I think many of you get more value out of it if we just start with a vanilla setup and just go through all the different aspects of the tone and just try and replicate it as best we can, and you might just get closer results at home and learn to dial your amps in a little bit better. There's always loads of ways to go about your tone and just get desired sort of results. In this case with Chuck Schuldiner's tone, you can always go to Master Effects and get his Mardio pedal, and this is a really close 8100, and I've done videos on this before, but I think for today's video, I'd rather just go through from scratch and we'll just try and really just hone into the aspects of Chuck's tone. It's always cool though when you push your amp in a way it doesn't usually behave, but you can get some really cool tones out of it. I'm going through the Victory Kraken, the 50 watt version today. I'm on channel 1, and this is just really a channel that gives you a really solid bass line like a JCM 800 and like loads of other amps out there. So if you're able to try and get this sort of bass line with your amp, it's a really great foundation for loads of tones. You can hear that's really generic, just a foundation tone. It's running silently through the 2 notes Torpedo Captor X in the room. The pedals I've got running through the front of the amp is the Boss Super Overdrive, the SD1. It's a really classic, it's super cheap, really affordable. I've also got the Distortion DS1. I don't usually use this, but I do find that if we run it in a way with the Super Overdrive, you can sometimes get that really solid state sort of crunchy tone. We'll just try out. It might work for some, I'm not really a fan. And then running through the effects loop for some modulation, a little bit of space, I've got the MXR Black Label Chorus and the MXR Carbon Copy Delay. And for the guitar that I'm using today, it's the Dean Vengeance V with the Fishman Fluence pickups and Floyd Rose. But let's just try and dial this tone and see how we get. And I guess the first thing we talk about is the aspects of Chuck's tone when he's using that Marshall valve state, the 8100. They're renowned for that really sort of crunchy end. It had that contour dial that was really scooped. I've done videos on it before and I'll have links in the description. Really cool amp, but we'll just try and replicate as best we can with this sort of gear. I find if you just turn down the power of the SD1, just so it's going into the DS1 with a really low output. So I've brought that down now so the signal coming out of the guitar is really weak, because I find that the DS1 gets overpowered by everything. So if we turn that on now, yeah. And that's just an idea for some of you, just to try and get this front end of the amp to behave a little bit more solid state like, but I think I prefer just the tone of the SD1 on its own. But if I just turn that level up a bit more and feed in a bit more overdrive. I'm just trying to match the distortion that I hear in the front end of that amp, but we'll come back to that later. I think for now we'll just get to the EQing of the controls a little bit more. His tone had loads of bottom end. The mids were scooped out a fair bit, and the treble was fairly crunchy, but that's a good start for the bass and the mids. It seems to be heavy and scooped enough, but it's the whole top end of this tone that really just makes it really unique. I think in this case, this is where we just got to learn to play off the treble and the presence and try and just work them both to try and get the most out of it. If we turn up the treble, that's turning up the treble alright, but it's not really changing the top end to be really crunchy. But instead I'll bring that back down, and in turn we'll just turn the presence right up to really add that crunch. That's really starting to sound good. That is becoming pretty recognisable with the tone. The presence really seems to step it up and add that crunch. And from here I just try and think of maybe different ways to get the tone a little closer. Maybe the tone on the top end's a little bit crunchier than that, so maybe we'll just try the SD1 and just turn the tone right up on that, and that just might brighten the whole input going on, and in turn maybe back the treble off slightly. I don't know. It's maybe a little bit too bright just there. Bring it back slightly. I guess now we'll just try and complete the tone a little bit more in that ambience sense. I'll turn the MXR chorus on. That's really overpowering for that tone, but with the 8100 there's always that faint sort of chorusy tone that just comes through with it. So I think maybe here if we just turn the rate right down on that, we'll turn down the depth. And I think with the volume at the front end of that, if we just basically take it to nothing, it will just affect and maybe just colour the tone enough to know that there's some sort of chorus effect. But we'll try that there. That's a lot better. I think if we just really make it almost like it's not even there, you can just hear it on the surface, it colours the tone enough. Now we just add a little bit of space and reverb, ambience to the tone. In this case I've got the MXR carbon copy delay. This is a really cool delay. If you turn it down and just tweak it just right, it sounds like a reverb pedal, or you can have it really huge like a big delay. But to start with, we'll just see how it goes. I think it's cool for that single string sort of stuff. That's almost like a solo, that intro. But if we try and tighten it now to be more like the rhythm. And I think just right there we've sort of mixed it out just so it's like a reverb. I think maybe just turn it down slightly more. I think we're in the ballpark. The whole presence playing off with the treble and then adding a little bit more of those higher frequencies through the SD1. I think it's giving us a good top end on that tone, but all in all, I think without sitting there with the record and just A&Bing it and really sort of focusing on certain albums and tones, I think it's a really cool generic sort of 8100. But I really hope you liked the video today, guys. I think just doing these videos in a different way, that we're starting from scratch and just trying to talk about the tone a little bit more, and hopefully you guys get to learn your amps a lot more and get the most out of the gear that you have. But all that being said, take care. I'll see you next time.